Hello, welcome back to CareerCon. I am so excited to take you through this next speaker and introduce you to her because this session is going to be amazing. We all know the current climate that we live in. We all know that the thing that's taken away from us the most, the thing that we love most is going to music festivals, is going to huge events. So Libbie Ray from AV 24/7 will be able to help us out, help us navigate this industry that we're finding ourselves and the challenges and problems, and also answer any of your questions if you want to get involved in the events industry. So super excited for this chat. But before we dive in and introduce Libbie to the CareerCon stage, I'm just going to read her bio for you because it is so super exciting. Okay, so let's go. Libbie is the co-owner and general manager of Audiovisual and Staging Special, AV 24/7. Her 20-year career covers events, technology, and marketing. With her partner, she has built a vibrant business that has evolved with the changing demands of the marketplace. The company operates around Australia and works with leading global and Australian brands, delivering out-of-the-box experiences for clients and partners. She has been a passionate promoter of job opportunities for women in technology and has been actively involved in helping to advise TAFE New South Wales on reviews of course content for event management courses, and was also appointed to the Technical Advisory Committee of Skills IQ. Whoa. As a member of the industry's peak body, the Exhibition and Events Association of Australasia, Libbie has stepped forward to support the industry by contributing her expertise in industry forums and educational sessions. Libbie, we are so pumped to have you here at CareerCon. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be part of today and been listening to all the speakers, and they're so inspiring. So just great to be sharing my experience with everyone and chatting to you.
It looks like you're actually a newsreader, like you're about to step out onto Channel 10's, news segment. So it looks fabulous.
Thanks. We're actually in our studio right now, so.
Incredible. Well, as I mentioned, we're so pumped to have you here because you have a wealth of knowledge, obviously in the events industry, but also how the events industry ties into marketing and so much. So, let's get cracking. Let's get into the questions. So the first one is regarding, I'd love for you to give us more of a rounded approach of who Libbie is. So take us back to your time at high school. Explain a little bit where you grew up and how that kind of took you into the industry that you're in now.
Well, I mean, going back to high school, I would never have thought I would be where I am today because my beginning years started very differently. I think in high school, from an education perspective, I was definitely more of a math girl than an English girl, and I was really drawn to things like music and drama. I think having the interest in both analytical and creative spaces really helped to me to develop skills across a cross-section of the different industries. And then the other thing that I noted down in relation to how high school sort of supported me into my growth journey into the event space is also socially, I learnt a lot of resilience in high school. I'm sure there's a few people maybe watching who experienced bullying in high school and had some very interesting experiences through their journey through high school. But I'm actually quite grateful for those experiences in hindsight now because of their resilience and ability to deal with a lot of different challenges throughout my life as well. And then the other part is I left school in year 10. So I was 15 years and 15 years old and got straight into the working life full time, but started out as a chef. So I went to get a trade. I grew up in a few different areas, both down at Barara Waters and then on the Central Coast, and then been in Sydney now for the last God knows how many years. So it was really my beginning of high school sort of journey.
Yeah. I think that's awesome too, that you mentioned there that you did actually only go to year 10. So I think it's I think it's so important, because we have a lot of young people that follow us at the Cool Career that, you know what, they don't actually want to go on to further education. We have lots of girls that follow us that are now, in trade. They're electricians or carpenters, or, they're in the hospitality industry and having massive, awesome careers that they love. So thank you for taking us back to your time in high school as well. So I guess that kind of leads into, now we're kind of at the stage of the year for most students when they're like, right, we have to pick our university courses and we have to do this and we have to do that. To get into the events industry, do you believe that students need to go on to further education? Can you sort of explain what you think about that?
Well, it would be very wrong of me to say they need more education, because that hasn't been my experience. Again, as I said, my only formal education was a trade, and that was my chefing apprenticeship. So definitely the earlier years of business, I really did not regard education in people's CVs as a quality I was looking for. I didn't really even consider that. I definitely took work experience as a higher priority over education. However, as the years go by, I do now see it as a benefit. It's definitely not the only thing that I look for, or the first thing, but it does show that the candidates can actually commit to something and follow through. Not necessarily the course content itself that I feel is particularly valuable. Obviously, the more you can learn, the better, which is great, but just that option to be able to, or that ability to pick something, learn about it, and follow through and finish it. It's definitely something that I would regard as a positive attribute.
Yeah, because you're kind of leading into our next question there perfectly, which is about skills and, and skill sets. And I think that, what you mentioned before is that, you look beyond that when you're hiring people. And, I know from my personal experience that I went to university, but I have never been asked to prove that I have. And I've also never been asked to prove or even tell people what and back then it was an enter score. So I've never even been, asked to explain that. So I think it's also a perfect time to sort of chat about skills within the events industry. So what kind of skills do you think people need to look out for if they're kind of, on the fence and thinking, do you know what, maybe I might want to get involved in this kind of industry? What skills do you think students need? And, I'd love to know what you believe your best skill is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the events industry, as everyone would know, is so far-reaching and it's so varied. So in relation to skills, there's specific skills that you would need in different areas. But what I was thinking when I was looking through questions earlier is that some of the really key areas for a successful career, sort of the maybe more of the attributes than skills, is resilience, flexibility, passion, and energy. Events are most certainly not for the faint-hearted. They are hard work. There's long days, there's stressful days. However, the rewards are unbelievable, and just being able to see something come from just an idea and then be created in front of your eyes, and if you're part of something like that and creating those connections, those moments for people, it's such a wonderful thing. So if you do want a career in events, definitely those sorts of top attributes you'd be wanting to hold, and then basically working out which area of the events industry that you love the most, and then upskilling in those sorts of things as well. And then for the second part, in relation to what I think my best skill is, I think my best skill would have to be the ability to see opportunities and create creative solutions that solve problems and make connections. I also think I've got a good ability to be able to find positives in challenges. And I think being positive and having a solution-focused mindset is key to be able to come up with really innovative solutions and do amazing things.
Well, your job sounds amazing. Just having the liberty to actually dream big and think of something, and then, be a part of, even with your support with my event, with CareerCon, just being able to know that someone can see a vision and actually help make it come to life it must be such a rewarding job. I mean, let's dive a little bit further into the events industry, because like there are so many different facets. There's technicians, and there's people that sort of look after organizing the logistics of an event. Can you kind of explain some of the roles that there are in the events industry, and then maybe explain like what you do as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are, again, so many different roles. There's operational roles, very logistical style roles, creative production roles, event sales. There are, theming and design roles. There are even things now. There's a lot of digital roles available and a lot of creative roles. I think the ones that I've worked in, I've been an event producer, which is fantastic. It's end-to-end, coming up with a solution and finding kind of creative way to do things, and then following that through. So bringing all the suppliers together and following that through. I worked mostly in fashion and racing events, so that was really fun and exciting. I also have done a lot of business development for venues, which is really fun because it's about relationship building and building connections. So that's fantastic. And then now into obviously the audiovisual production side, sort of bringing all of those skills together and being able to do end-to-end production and technology services, which is really amazing. But obviously, you're thinking about AV production. Obviously people will be thinking, oh, you need to be really technical and know how to set things up and do all of those. To be honest, if I'm fair, I'm not really that technical, but I love AV because it just brings things alive. So the most important thing to any event, in my opinion, it opens up a space, it draws people in, it makes people pay attention, and if it's bad, then that's like obviously the end of your event is such a key element. And then, currently my role is mostly around sort of leadership and strategy at the moment, but I love working with clients, and I could never lose that part of my role. So that client relationship as well. So.
Oh, that's awesome. I love what you said before about the fact that you were working predominantly in the fashion industries. And, I love when you sort of, walk into an event, and you're right, it's literally first you obviously scout out who's there, but then you kind of look to the atmosphere. And some of the most memorable concerts and events that I've been to is the actual AV component, and that's what you actually talk about after the event. This is a bit of a side question, but have you had any difficult, because I'm sure that you would have seen lots of celebrities and worked with lots of musicians and DJs, and, is there any kind of like crazy moments that you can tell us about, just off the top of your head?
Oh, just, different things that we've worked on or been part of.
Yes, yeah.
Look, it's hard to even really go back. I mean, when I was doing fashion work, I used to work at David Jones in their events and marketing team, and you would have, Megan Gale and, incredible entertainers and models and all sorts of people. And, one of the biggest things that I've learned when you're working in spaces, when you're working with really high-end talent, is that we're all the same, and everyone is most people are so wonderful and so lovely. I think some of the funnest stuff that I love working on now is Sephora, one of our major clients, and we do all of their store launches and events, and that's a really, really fun, exciting project to be on. But they're all great. They all have so many, every event has something they're trying to do, something they're trying to communicate, and a way that they want to be seen in the marketplace or connect with their customers. So everything is creative, and everything has a challenge to it, and everything feels great once you've followed through.
Oh, of course. And I guess that, one pro of your job, and obviously you'd be able to work on so many different things. Like, it wouldn't just be a 9 to 5 at your desk where you're kind of, chugging away at spreadsheets. You'd be, doing lots of varied tasks every day. And it just seems so exciting. That's awesome. The next question that we'd love to sort of, ask you, Libbie, is, obviously we are, 2020 has arrived, and the world is not what we thought it would be. And, predominantly for students that are going through school or high school, or even people that actually aren't even working in further education, that are thinking of the events industry, I think that it has changed so much in like a space of, not even so much time, 5-6 months. Like, can you explain the changes in the industry? And do you actually think that it's worth getting involved in the industry now moving forward? Can you explain the changes and what we can expect?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of that's to actually be decided. Our industry has taken a hit, and that is no secret at all. Our entire industry was wiped out. Friday the 13th of March was the exact day it happened. I will remember it for my whole life. It was crazy. However, this means that it's been completely disrupted. Like, our industry has never been disrupted like this before. And we all kind of, it's a scary time for, an industry to be disrupted. But we know what happens when industries are disrupted. It's when opportunity exists. And that's when real change and real exciting things come out the other side. When people are forced to think creatively and fight to survive, real innovation comes to life. And, in events, people are so resilient and they're so creative. And you're seeing it already. I mean, obviously, events now are purely digital, or mostly digital and hybrid, which is very, pretty much not seen very, very often in, pre-COVID world. But some of those innovations that are coming out of that are incredible. Our industry is going to come back, and it is a great industry to be part of. It's not going to be the same. It'll most certainly be a different events industry. And it's going to be a really good opportunity for young people, to be honest, because the younger generations they have an amazing ability to be able to pick up technology and just run with it and use it. And that's really going to have an upper hand moving forward. It will turn to be a lot more heavily reliant on technology. And so, being able to have that ability to sort of work with technology, but also be creative and come up with ideas is certainly a real positive for people wanting to get into the industry. It's, I will stand by my industry, and I really hope that people still consider it. It's going to have such amazing opportunities into the future.
Oh, awesome. And I guess, it really brings it back to the fact that, we are in this new normal, not really new normal, but we actually are in this new space. Everything's been disrupted. Everything's been torn apart. Everything that we thought we knew and that we had loved is now changing, but it's actually more exciting than ever. I find, I know, and even my friends, I know as soon as the next music festival hits, we will all be there all together, and probably planning the next year as well. So, lots of opportunities spring forth from these things. But thank you for talking about the disruption. I guess now, I'd love to sort of know what you think. The events industry is different to potentially even what careers advisors were telling students about it, even last year. So what do you think is one thing that most guys can do now if they're interested in pursuing a career in the events industry? Just one thing that they can do now that would help them get ahead.
Get out there, do some volunteering or talk to some people in the industry. See what you like. There's also TAFE have a few short courses that you can get in and just get a bit of a tester of what it's like, which is really good. And also our industry is really open. Bless you. Our industry is super. Bless you. Hope you. Our industry is super open to supporting new talent. So reach out to people. Personally, I'd be happy to chat to anyone that wants to sort of talk through the different parts of the industry or want some support trying to work out where they might want to go into that industry, more than happy to set up some Zoom chats and help you to find your passion in our space.
Yeah, cool. Oh, that's awesome. We've had some awesome questions come through, actually. So I'm going to hit you with some of them now, Libbie, and there's some good ones here. So the first one is, how has the events industry changed since COVID, and should I still get into it? I think we've answered that. I think, you know, you've really touched on the fact that it is still a thriving industry and that people should still get into it. Do you know, the next question here is, you know, what's the best events course out there?
I think that's an interesting question. Yeah, I mean, look, there are so many different events courses out there, and if you just want to do, you know, in a generic overarching one, the course content, I think it's going to be a bit difficult right now because as we talked about disruption, the course content is obviously very, very focused on what it was pre-COVID. But it is a really great opportunity to get into, you know, it takes you great courses, I think. There's so many different event management courses out there. I don't think there's one that just jumps out that's significantly better than the others. So you can really sort of get in there and get a taster. Maybe it's good to start off with a small course and see sort of which way you want and then go into a specialist area.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I think too, what you touched on before is just getting out there, you know, and I think too, you maybe even speaking to some people that work within the events industry, just reaching out and seeing what they've done. So that's awesome tip. Thank you. Another question that's come through is, how do I get work experience in the events industry?
Find a job, a company that you like, or a few different companies, and just reach out. Again, our industry is so supportive of new talent, and people are very, very approachable. So, you know, just reach out. More than happy if you want to touch base with me and you're looking for work experience in a particular type of business. I'm more than happy to share some of my contacts and maybe some, facilitate some introductions. So, you know, that's another way of doing it. So find someone to talk to and just reach out. It's easier than you think if you've got, just be confident and have the courage to believe in your passion, and someone will most certainly support you through that journey.
And I think there's a massive lesson to be learned in what you just said then, Libbie, because, you know, in my own personal experience, you know, just by reaching out, you'd be surprised how many people are willing to help, and you'd be surprised at how many people have actually haven't had anyone approach them to help. You know, like you might even just assume that someone that, you know, is the CEO of a big company has people approach them all the time, but in most instances that I've found, they haven't. So, you know, I would really encourage, you know, even if anyone here on the call wants to have a career in the events industry, you know, pick an event and just approach them, and do it this afternoon or do it tomorrow and see what happens. So thank you for that. Another question is more specific. You know, it's coming from Rosalie, and she's asking a question about, I'm currently doing a diploma of event management. How do you suggest I get my foot in the door?
Again, I think that's a similar answer. Just find a way, you know, find a company that you want to work for. Don't necessarily wait to see a job ad out. Pick up the phone, call people, because, you know, that there's an element of, strength to someone that's going to pick up the phone and call and believe in them. And I don't think that I've ever, you know, turned down or turned away anyone that's just picked up the call or walked into the office and said, I'm looking for work. If you ever have something coming up, please keep me in mind. You know, maybe we didn't have anything, but maybe I've gone, oh, that's great. I remember that person. And then next time we can sort of reach out if there is a role. So just find something that you want to do and get out there. And don't be afraid of being sort of let down if there's nothing available, or being, you know, turned away. It's okay. You know, everyone's going through a different journey, and, you know, if it's not right for them, then it's probably not right for you either. And then just, you know, move on to something else and stay positive and upbeat and just get out there and connect with people.
Oh, amazing. I mean, I'm just sort of thinking back to, Libby, just I actually credit the events industry for, really kickstarting what I've done in life. I mean, I was in year 12 and I volunteered for Melbourne Spring Fashion Week, which was an event for part of the city of Melbourne. And I was a volunteer. I dressed models. The next year, because I kept in touch, the next year they hired me as a volunteer coordinator. And then it just kind of, progressed from there. And I now, even to this day, the people that I know that I can rely on, that I can ask for a reference, are all the group of people that were volunteers back then. One of them is now the CEO of the, Melbourne Fashion Festival. Another one is the head marketing manager at Country Road. Like, we're all volunteers together, and now they're just, killing it in their own careers. So I guess in the events industry, you do have to be nice to everyone too, because they probably remember you. What do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that should probably be everybody's thought process everywhere they go, because you never know, even if someone's been mean to you or saying something wrong to you, you don't really know why that is and why they're sort of acting in that way. So it's best to just kind of take the nice kind of calm road. And the thing with the events industry is it's, there's very few people that go in it and get out again. It's kind of captures you. It's, I don't know whether it's the kind of the ability to see these amazing things comes to life becomes a little addictive potentially. I don't know, but once you're in, you tend to not want to leave. So you're right. You'll see people around. They'll grow with you. They'll stay around, and best to keep those relationships strong.
Oh, unreal. That's just, it's really exciting. I think too, you're right. It does grip you. And once you're in and you get to meet all these amazing people, you kind of just don't want to leave it, So, I would love to end on a really kind of, reflective note, I guess, because, over the last day and even today, we have so many young people that, are currently 17, 18, 19, even up to 24. And, it's such a great time of the year to actually think back. And I'd love for you to cast your mind back, not that long ago, but to when you were that age. What's one bit of advice that you would give someone? No, what's one bit of advice that you would give Libby at 17 years old?
Well, I'm going to be cheeky and have two, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
The first one is that the world is large, and there's not a single thing that you can't solve or resolve. And being positive is the only way to see opportunity. And then the other thing is your journey will find you. You don't need to decide today what you're going to do for the rest of your life. Just pick something, roll with it, stay open-minded, believe in yourself. I never thought I'd be here at 17, but I trusted my instincts and I followed my journey, and I've had a career for life. Oh,
Libby, that is amazing. So I just think that's just the perfect way to end this conversation. Just get out there and get something done. And I think that what you mentioned before, what was your first point again about? Can you just explain that one again?
That the world being large. I think a lot of the time when you're 17, your world you're just coming out of school. You don't know a lot of people outside of school. You feel kind of that you're a big piece in a small world, and if something goes wrong, it feels sometimes hard to get past problems or issues. But just remember, the world is large, and you can conquer anything. Nothing can't be solved.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, thank you, Libby. Thank you so much for joining. I'm just so super pumped we got the opportunity to have a chat and also to sort of, pick apart the events industry. And, I bet everyone believes, in what I'm saying when I say that I think that it's a great industry to be involved in. So thank you so much for your time again.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Thanks. Had so much fun.
No worries. Thank you.